morning has broken and we are your consecrated hosts. Hi, Jonathan. I'm Father Jeff, consecrated by holy orders.
I'm Jonathan, consecrated by baptism.
Yes, he is. How are you doing?
Good.
Excellent.
I feel like I've been exiled from this place
I haven't
for a while.
seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's
been weeks. I haven't seen you in a while. Where'd you been?
Where have they been?
Oh my gosh. So our last show was Easter week, Easter Monday.
That's right.
I believe we had our Easter little celebration, and then we disappeared for 2 weeks.
Gone. Poof.
And I don't know that we ever said anything. Did you tell people where we were?
No.
No. So I was away, and then I had dog issues. Staples has been going through one thing after another. It's been a very long 2 weeks.
It has.
Very long 2 weeks.
But we're back.
He's good.
Staples is okay.
Yep, he's healing up. He had to have a little minor surgery. So we pulled out some things that chipped off from a surgery years ago that fixed his back legs. And so he's just waiting for that wound to heal. And that's been a long time coming. I'm finding little blood stains all over my house.
Well, and you brought, Staples in with that cone of shame. And
yeah.
There's a reason they call it the cone of shame.
You just look so sad.
They look so sad.
I know, and it makes his little ears go down because his ears are straight up and that cone makes them go down.
So it's even more sad?
He just looks sad. He just got a haircut the other day, so now he looks like this skinny little... before the cone at least was resting on his big fluffy coat, and now he's got no coat, and so it's just... Anywho, we're back.
But he's healing, and everything's okay.
He's healing. He still has to be in that thing for another week and a half, probably, so just for that wound to close up that he doesn't look at it. Because I think it, itches, and he feels it.
Oh,
and, I like to lick your wounds. I think that's where that thing comes from.
I think so.
Yeah. Makes you feel good. Well, what's been new with you? What's been happening these last 2 weeks?
So much. We just had the retreat.
Finally.
Yes.
So we had to cancel it in January.
Oh.
So we have this parish retreat. And if you are a parishioner here and have not gone on that retreat, then get it in your calendar for the fall, because we've got one coming up in October, I believe.
October 8th and 9th, I believe.
That sounds right to me. I was going to say 19th, but that's probably right, the 8th and 9th. So put that in your calendar, because this is like a heart and soul moment for St. Charles Borromeo. It's like we want to come together as a parish family. We want to have an intimate encounter with our Lord and one another, and really let the faith sink in, that it isn't just surface level or runoff or anything like that.
Right, because you can go even to Cloisters on the Platte, which is a retreat house that's nearby, and they do some good retreats there. You can go to a CEC and do a lot of these things. However, it's not with your parish and not with your parishioners. And Cloisters on the Platte is a silent retreat, so you're actually not talking with people and getting to know them.
Right.
Here, you're going to go on retreat with people you go to Mass with, and really people that you share life with. And
that you may or may not know other than their faces or their directory pictures.
And so it is just such a great opportunity to not just get better connected with the people of the parish, but more importantly, get better connected with our Lord.
Is this our second retreat?
Yes.
Yes, so we've had to cancel it twice.
Three times.
Did we cancel it 3 times?
COVID, winter.
It was 2 winters.
2 winters and a COVID. So it's been scheduled and gotten almost to the day of 5 times, and 2 of those times we've actually had it.
Yeah, exactly.
3 cancellations, 2 successes.
So yeah, 2 out of 5. This must be how, I'm not one to ascribe things to the power of the evil one or anything like that. I think it's I don't know. I just don't like doing that. But I'm just saying that any good thing is going to face an uphill battle, and so I think that is a sign that this is a good thing, because when we have had it has just been a marvelous experience. Mm-hmm. Not only for the retreatants, but also for the team, for us, those who have planned it. It's really good.
It is.
It's the same retreat each time, more or less. Mm-hmm. Follows the same pattern. And, the Quo Vadis, where are you going?
Where are you going?
And that's a good question to ask ourselves in our faith journey.
It really is.
Yeah.
Speaking of, good things facing some kind of turmoil.
Talk to me.
Red Bull. My last sip of Red Bull was the Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday.
Mardi Gras?
Mardi Gras.
And you've been, we mentioned this briefly the day after Easter.
Yep.
And you still now throughout this Easter season, we're in the
clean.
4th week of Easter.
Yeah. It's been, I don't know how many days. It's been a good amount of days. And so my wife and I, she found some subscription service. It's like HelloFresh, but this is, I think, called Every Plate. It's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Regardless. They send you free samples.
Of?
Random things sometimes.
Red Bull?
I got a free sample of a Red Bull.
No way.
And it's the Red Bull that I had been drinking, like, a lot since the fall.
They make more than one kind of Red Bull?
They make so many flavors.
Oh, it's like anything these days.
But, so it's this red one. Actually, there was a summer edition last summer. So since last summer, I've been drinking this Red Bull. It's almost exclusively. And then it shows up in the stupid box. The Temptations of the Devil.
And you were like, it's Easter, I can have this now.
No.
Ha ha!
I opened it up and I poured it down the drain.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I was going to comment on how glowing your skin is these days. Look at that.
I didn't even shave today.
I wasn't going to comment on that.
You were going to comment.
I considered not shaving today, and then I did. Because I knew I'd be seeing all of you, and I wanted to look my best. Yesterday was Good Shepherd Sunday, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's a day, it's kind of like priesthood. I think there's actually a priesthood Sunday in October. That might be like a made-up thing.
There is some kind of something where we celebrate priesthood. I don't know when it is, though.
Me neither. It's like I see it out the count. It's like, oh, look at that. But Good Shepherd Sunday is really kind of like the original priesthood Sunday. I guess. Because I was going to say other than Holy Thursday, but Holy Thursday is not a Sunday. In the very name. So the Good Shepherd Sunday, because the reason is because if you paid attention to the readings, they're always about Jesus, the Good Shepherd, and the flock and the sheep. I am the Good Shepherd, or I am the gate for the sheep, or so every Easter, depending on what Matthew, Mark, or Luke cycle we're doing for the Gospels always about the Good Shepherd. So it's just a really good time to reflect upon the gift of not only Christ as our shepherd, but then also the shepherds that he set in place to help guide and govern the church. So namely the bishops, but then also their co-workers, the priests, and to really pray for priests and vocations to the priesthood and to raise those up, because it is so important.
Yeah.
If the shepherd is the one to guide the sheep, is to be the gate into into the kingdom, if he's supposed to be the one that goes and finds the lost and restores them and heals the broken and all of those things, none of that can happen without a shepherd.
This is very true.
You kind of need it.
No, and I think it's vocations. It's just there are people who would be called to the priesthood or religious life and aren't open to hearing the call, haven't been exposed to even being able to hear the call.
It's like, it's not because they want to be closed, it's because they just don't know how to be open, or haven't been... the sun can be shining outside, and if you never pull the shades, you don't experience that. You don't know, or if you don't go out into it, you don't know that it's really warm, or that it or that it does, change things, make things brighter, etc.
If a parent never says, "Hey, you could be like Father Jeff." Now, maybe not. Maybe you could be a priest.
You say that to your kids all the time, don't you? Boys, you could be like Father Jeff. Well, one of these days, you could be running around the altar. You don't like to sit still at church, so why don't you get up there and do that?
That's true.
See, that's the reason I became a priest. Number one, I wanted to have a guaranteed seat in church. And number two, I can't sit still, so it gives me something to do. That's not really.
But no, you do need to be able to expose your kids or grandchildren to that possibility. Let them know of how good it could be. Because if it is your vocation, it is going to fulfill you. Where I think as most parents, we want our kids to be able to get married and have kids.
We want them to be happy.
We think of it in that way.
We process it through our own happiness.
That's what made me happy. So that's what's probably going to make them happy. And for 80%, if not 75%, whatever, that is the truth. They're probably going to get married and have kids and hopefully give you grandchildren.
It's a natural vocation.
However,
there's also supernatural vocations.
Supernatural. And that is, we need priests. We need religious sisters. We need people that are just devoted themselves to God and to His people.
I mentioned last week at the end of Mass that the Archbishop had really hit home the idea to remind us that, we don't have any ordinations to the priesthood this year. So there's no men in formation to be ordained this year as priests. I've been ordained, this will be my 21st year as a priest. This has only happened once before in my 21 years.
Wow.
So basically now 2 times in 20 years, that's like 10% of the time that I've been ordained. And the Archbishop, cautioned us and he said, just looking at the men in formation, this is going to be now more common. It's not just going to be once every 10 years we don't have an ordination. It might be once every 8 years or once every 5 years or once every 3 years we're not going to have an ordination. And that's something that we all have to take responsibility for because God is calling.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to respond. And sometimes, this is why the Lord says the harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. So ask the master of the harvest to shake up, to call those people, and to really help those people to be able to respond.
Yeah, I know that's you can't fast track. You look at the Archdiocese sends out a poster with pictures of all the seminarians, and you're not going to go from pre-theology to theology 4 in 2 years.
No,
it doesn't. It doesn't work that way.
You can pretty much do the math and say this is what's going to happen this year, what's going to happen next year, and so on and so forth. But even some of the things that have happened in this year alone is that men, wherever they are on their journey, encounter something that causes them to maybe take a step back and say, I don't know if this really is my vocation. Or I've just opened this part of myself that I've never dealt with, and I really need to deal with that before taking on this vocation in the church. And so we've had, I think in this last year alone, 3, maybe 4 men step out of formation. So those pictures that you see on the poster hanging in the churches, some of them are disappearing. And so the spaces are getting bigger.
And that's partially by design, because seminary is a discernment process.
Exactly.
It's not that once you go to seminary, you're committed for life.
Yep.
And so I think that's also something as parents to keep in mind, that if their kid's discerning seminary and says, maybe this is what I need to be doing, let them go.
Right.
Experience it. They're going to, through all that formation. It's meant to weed people out.
Yes. Not in the same way that law school is. that first year of law school, we're going to get rid of those. We just can't cut this. But it's meant to weed people out in the sense that it's really meant to clarify your vocation.
Yes.
And so there's even some thought that says, really, if you think about it, every Catholic young man should go to college seminary. In some sense, that you should be open to the possibility that God is calling you to priesthood. And once you can say, definitely that's not happening, now I can be open to spousal or married life. Because I think everybody is called to a nuptial relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. Again, natural vocation. So that's going to be an easy call to hear. And I will hear that often from kids or teens or college, that but I really want to get married, or I really feel the call to be a dad or a father or a husband or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, obviously, but that doesn't mean you are not called to be a priest, which means that other thing has to be realized in a whole different way.
Right.
So, but you'll never know that unless you put that other thing on the plate first.
And college seminary isn't the formal seminary, right? It is.
Right. College seminary, the goal of college seminary is to form Christian men. The goal of graduate seminary, graduate level seminary, is to form priests for Christ. So college seminary, while it has an eye toward the priesthood, is really anybody who goes to, for example, my college seminary, I know I've said this before, the file cabinets of alumni that sit there in the office, 3 of those drawers are non-ordained men, and 1 of those drawers are ordained men. So all of the people that graduated from my college seminary, 25% have gone on to become priests. So most of the people who go to college seminary will be excellent husbands and fathers. They'll be members of the lay faithful that are going to be active in their parishes and build up their parishes. We've got guys in our parish that have gone to seminary, and they are real foundation stones for the parish. So this is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. No. And even if you're not in seminary formation per se, that every man should, particularly in college, consider that he might have a vocation to the priesthood and to keep an eye toward that, to be listening.
Yeah, because every year, how many priests are retiring?
That's a good question. Probably, if not equal to or more than the ones that we are ordaining.
Which, you can do the math on that one.
Yes.
Because it's not less than the ones we're ordaining, at least not in this diocese.
Right. Every once in a while we have a year where nobody retires. But that doesn't mean people are working past retirement age.
Right.
We've got a number of priests who are older than 70 who are still pastors or senior associates or working full-time still in parish ministry. So you never stop being a priest, but you do perhaps retire from the administrative or the scheduled duties that are out there to be done.
Well, let's be real. If you're 73 years old and you're trying to run things on a computer nowadays, you're not the best person for the job.
Yeah, unless you're really savvy.
Yeah.
Unless you're really tech savvy. And it can happen, but...
those are few and far between.
Yeah. I was just saying last week during a daily mass, or I don't remember when, but I was thinking about how hard it is sometimes to change the older you get. That it was the reading about Saint Stephen being stoned to death, and it said, and the people there, the onlookers, were laying their cloaks at the feet of a young man named Saul. And that just jumped off the page to me when I read that the feet of a young man named Saul. Because this is St. Paul, and he's going to be called soon after that to go out on mission. And I'm thinking, I never pictured him as a young man. That if you think about it, he probably... I don't know what the scriptures consider a young man, but when they talk about the Virgin Mary being the maiden, the young girl, a young girl would have been in her mid-teens. Mm-hmm. So it's very possible that Saul could have been in his early 20s. I mean, He could have finished, so if he was this young man, but it made sense then that's like, well, that's who the Lord needed to learn, to turn on a dime, to learn something totally different, to go spend him, to get energy and excitement and all of that stuff, which, I don't consider myself an old man, but I kind of like to be comfortable. I kind of like, to have things figured out and say, well, at least I don't have to rethink that. So it can be hard to hey, let's change everything up and do it all different. I know I do that a lot anyway, but it's hard to do that.
Yeah, and I think the way the parishes are going and things like that for older priests, it's very difficult. And just something good to remember is to pray for retired priests.
Yep.
Because they live their whole lives in that church community. And so they had people around them, and it's some of them, if they have their friends and other things, they can get around, but it's not easy being old and retired and not having necessarily family.
You don't have your wife, you don't have your kids and the grandkids and all that. Many guys still stay active and continue to help out in parishes in some way, shape, or form because it's really fulfilling and that is their vocation, and that's great. And the more, but we don't, we can't make them do the work of an active priest. So this isn't a doom and gloom or anything like that, but it really highlights. We've got work to do to stir up vocations.
Yes.
And to really encourage our kids to begin thinking about it, particularly in mid-elementary school. And I remember a study being done years ago that by 5th grade, so that's what, 11, somewhere around there, 10, 11?
Oh, let's see, Joshua's 6, 7, 8... 9, 10, 11. Yep.
Yep. So that's about that age group where you're right about that age. A child does not yet know what he wants to be growing up, but a child will already have shut out what he or she is not going to consider. And so by that time, we want to, if you're not introducing your child to thoughts of the priesthood before 10 or 11, they're probably not going to be open to considering it after that age.
If your child's 12 or 13, please still encourage and let them know.
Yes, but it's in those formative years, as everything is. If it doesn't happen in the formative years, it's going to be a challenge to do that. If you don't learn a second language before 5 or 6, it's going to be tough to do that later on. If you don't learn morality by age 7, you probably aren't going to know how to be a good person. I mean, this is science. This is sociological science. Yep. It's kind of known. So get on it, encourage those young people to be priests.
And know that you are encouraging them to consider something that would make them ultimately happy and fulfill them.
Exactly. Because even if they find that's not my vocation, they're going to be good and holy people. Well, speaking about... no, I don't even have a transition. Let's just... New thing. New thing. We are coming to the end of quarantine in the sense that in 1 month's time, the Archbishop will be lifting the general dispensation from the obligation to attend Sunday and Holy Day Masses. So, if you recall, I believe it was last May 15th or 16th, where the Archbishop shut down all public celebrations of Mass. And I think it was the weekend before that where he offered a general dispensation. That, in other words, by God's law, we have to present ourselves to the altar of the Lord to celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ each and every Sunday and Holy Day.
Yes.
And the Archbishop said because of the pandemic and because of what's going on, he is going to lift the obligation and dispense people from that divine law. Now that so many people have had the virus and developed immunity or have had their vaccines, and as the pandemic is petering out, the Archbishop is saying, it is now time for me to let that go. The obligation settles back upon us, and so that will be the weekend of Pentecost.
Correct.
So last year at that time, this morning show was born. When everything shut down and we couldn't get together in person, we did this morning show. All of a sudden, here we were. And then we adjusted. We were going daily, and then we switched to weekly.
Yep.
I think it's time for the morning show to begin counting down. I know.
Say it ain't so.
It's a sad, sad day. So after today, we will have 4 more shows. We will continue this morning show until that general dispensation ends. So the day after Pentecost will be our final morning show. So towards the end of May there, we will draw it to a close. I think we'll have something else coming after that, but we're going to hold that close to the chest right now and reveal that to you at a later date. But the morning show has run its course. There will be a new iteration or a new something to come after that, but we don't want to give it away yet.
Yeah, no, I think it's been good, but it has been a full year, and so
longer.
When we come back, and we could have covered St. Catherine of Siena, who's coming up this week.
Yes,
we did that last year.
And
so then you're just repeating yourself, and we can do something else.
We're going to do something else.
And that's where we're going.
Something new is going to be born. So we'll keep you posted as we go. Join us for these last 4 episodes of Morning Has Broken. And enjoy the week. We'll see you next Monday.